Hey there, Sue.
Hey Jen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Ah, I am swamped. I'm swamped. I'm so busy because, as you know, why we're here, we're going to talk about my intro to professional dog training and a little bit about family paws.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love to hear more about your intro and what you're up to and hear more about that. So tell me what you got going on.
Well, you remember when you and I were baby trainers early in the 90s?
Yes.
And it was all just an idea.
It
And
was
then
an
we got,
idea.
yeah. Where'd you find out about dog training?
Where did I find out about dog training? I grew up in dog training, and then when I came back after I had my adopted my first German Shepherd, I hired someone and I said, I think there's more out there than that. So I started looking around and yeah, I looked into APDT and some of the different places and I don't know. I don't know. It's been in all in my
So
life. It's woven in my life, in my blood.
I know it's woven, but do you remember ever getting to the point where you were just frustrated and you were like, I wish I had all the information
Yes.
all at once. And if I could just take 1 year and have this information available to me, I could learn about puppy development stages and the quadrants and learning theory and schedules of reinforcement. And
Yes.
do you remember that phase of if somebody could just tell me what all the tools are, like what does the
Give
hammer
it
in the
all
tool?
to me. Yeah, in a
Give it all
package,
to
in
me.
a nice package.
And ethics, I mean, remember when we started learning about ethics in the early 90s and we said ethics, dog training, what do they have to do with each other?
This is very true. So
So
tell me, so is that what
what
you have
I've
created?
done, yeah, that's what I tried to create. And I think I've done a good job. There are 13 units and we cover I don't want to say we cover everything because that sounds trite, but we cover ethics, we cover applied behavior analysis, we cover a whole section on the breeds because we're not learning so much more about breeds now,
Yeah.
and what they are all about, um, how to use equipment, and this course also has online dog training classes. So even if you're really remote, let's say that you live in, left armpit USA or right armpit Canada, or, if you're in the outback of Australia and you don't have a mentor, we have online dog training classes that you can come to and get coaching with a CPDT.
That's
And
wonderful.
because it's run by a lovely lady named Ash Miller who works for me, and she's in Halifax and has her CPDT, and she teaches those classes and does a terrific dog. So even if you have experience, it's always good to have a coach. I go to class with her sometimes, and then we also have our weekly networking. So on Thursday afternoons, you can come and network with other trainers from around the world. And then we have office hours. So you can do your online content and then meet with me in a group on Zoom about every 7 to 10 days. It's not quite once a
Sure.
week. I move it around so that I can meet the needs of people in different time zones because I have a client in Australia, I have a student in England, I have one in Italy, I have a bunch on the west coast of the United States, one on the west coast of Canada. So they do
All
move
over.
around, but all over. And you get announcements about when my office hours are, and it works really, really well. And one of the things I want to say is, did you know that Family Pause is in my course?
I didn't, but I'm happy to
It's
hear that.
one of the resources. It's one of the resources because when you have to work with kids and dogs, you're the first, you're the best, you've got the most experience, and that's been well recognized for so long. So how did you get started in Family Pause? And let's tell my audience about Family Pause and when they are start. Well, wait, we better finish this up. My course starts on the 22nd of May of
Excellent.
2025, and our next cohort will be in the fall, late summer, early fall. But tell me about Family Pause.
Sure. And I
I
wanted
know
to,
about it, but let's tell
yeah,
everybody
and I
else.
just wanted to say that sounds like a wonderful opportunity. I know a lot of trainers that are out there that are just getting their feet wet, sort of, and trying to get out there and looking for things. And I get asked a lot. So I really hope people take advantage of what you're offering. I really do, because that sounds like a great inclusive package. I hope that you get great feedback from that, and I'm sure you will. Family Paws started in 2002 from my love of working with German Shepherds and running German Shepherd Rescue. We saw a lot of dogs being surrendered due to fear of we're having a baby and we have this large dog and our family doesn't want the dog anywhere near our children, or a bite already happening. And I just really felt strongly that more needed to be done. I actually wanted to become a doula, so I've always been heavy into the childbirth background. I have a degree in special education, and I spent many, many, many years in that field as well. Before I came into, before I was a parent and before I was into dog behavior consulting. But honestly, there was a need, and there still remains to be a need. And people will say to me, Jen, you should expand outside of the toddler niche. And I'm like, nope, this niche needs a lot of dedication. This niche needs, I mean, it feels like, and I always say to Dr. Jill Sackman always says, it's like digging a mountain with a teaspoon. It is. It feels like that all the time. A lot of people don't know they need this information. And I would say professional dog trainers don't realize they need this information. They might go into a home with toddlers and think that they've got it and that they've helped someone. And often what I hear is they never hear from that person again, which can happen. Sometimes the information they gave, although it might have been concrete, good information, might have been too much, might not have been appropriate for the age that is happening in that household. And what we try to do is bring all that information, all of the skills our trainers have already together and enhance it with child development, enhance it with proactive and um, information that's going to help them so they can truly support those families when they're in crisis or when they're expecting a baby and before, ideally, before they're in a crisis point. But unfortunately, a
Gosh,
lot of the
I
families,
wish I could.
yeah,
I wish I could tell you how many times I have sent a one of my students to you and said, "Yes, I know you're only 4 months pregnant. Now is the time.
do it now. Do
Do
it
it
now
now."
because I had met with a doula group last night and we went over dogs and toddlers and they always have done dogs had the dogs and storks course and they were just amazed at what they learned and they said this is the program that is so needed and I said yes it is. When babies start crawling we tend to have problems and Family Pause dives into all that. I mean, we go into all the different nuances of it. So we have a course. It's a 13-week course. It leads to licensing. You become a Family Pause parent educator. We have over 245 licensed educators all over the world. We have a lot of materials that are behind a paywall, and we're just always here to support our team. It's really, really, really important.
Well, and you also have resources for families that are not behind the paywall. And that's how I
Yes,
like to tell people to get to know you. I send them to your channel, I send them to your website all the time.
great.
And and I think it's important to recognize as well that, we need to get paid for what we do, but
Yes.
we both put out a lot of free content so that people can get to know us and, get to know a little bit about how we think and so on. You and I think quite similarly, I think, about how
Yeah.
we train and how we work with families. And, it's all about setting people up to succeed. And the only way to do that is to have the information that we need. So,
Yeah.
Jen, I want to thank you for, sharing my course with your community and
Absolutely.
I'm so grateful for having you in my life, but also for having access to your
Oh, thank you.
materials.
And thank
Well,
you. And our course starts August 22nd. It'll be the last one of the year. So if you're interested, let us know. We'd love to have you.
so you could take the introduction to professional dog training from the Dog Trainer's Crucible. That's me, Sue Alexander. Or you could take Family Paws. Or if you really want to be a go-getter, I highly recommend taking both. I
That would
really
be
think that
awesome.
that's that's the way to go. You guys do such a good job, and there are good courses out there. There are lots of good courses, and so let's try and let's try and at least come and visit and find out more about us.
That would be great. And we look forward to answering any questions you have. So take care.
All right, we'll put the links